How's it going, everybody? My name is Kalen, but you can just call me Kale. Alright, today's video is going to be 3 lessons that I learned from haters. Now, I got my notes just so I don't go off track too much. But now, just to be clear, when I say haters, in this day and age, people use the term hating as it's basically just like you don't like that person for whatever reason. When you hate on somebody, it's just because you don't like them. It's not because you actually hate them or want to cause them harm. It's just the people who, will openly say negative things, or they'll say it online. Alright, point number 1, or lesson number 1, haters do not actually care. Now let me explain this. People who hate openly like that, say, like, even this goes even as far back as, like bullies in school. I had to deal with a bunch of bullies in school, especially in elementary school. But the thing I learned about the haters is that they will say what they have to say, about you, and then at the end of the day, they'll just leave, they'll go back home, or they'll just leave the room, and they won't even think about you after that. So honestly, it's better to just not give their opinion any weight, because, after all is said and done, they're gonna say what they want to say because they have something going on with them that makes them feel like they have to be above somebody else, so that they can, feel like, oh yeah, I'm actually doing better than other people. And it gives them a sense of gives them a sense of like false relief, I guess, is the best way that I word that. Because they think that, like, oh yeah, now that I put somebody down, I'm up, which is completely wrong. They only think that they're up because they don't actually care about you, and they're willing to put you or try to put you down. So if they don't actually care about you, you shouldn't actually care about them, and that's going to save you a lot of mental stress. Alright, point number 2. Haters, especially online, are just role playing, and all they're doing is looking for the next role. Now, what does this mean? I'll explain it to you. When you see people hating online, especially about, things that you like or that you are into. Say, for example, you have a show that you really like, and there's a character that you really like, and there's this one person that you see in the comments, and they're like, I hate this character. This character is trash, whatever, whatever. They're so bad. People who like this character are just garbage, blah, 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 blah. But you know what the crazy thing is? If you go and you look at these people's posts, like a lot of them, if you actually do some digging on the haters, they haven't even consumed the piece of media that they're hating on. Like, dude has not watched a single episode of the show that he's putting up an entire 10 paragraph essay about, why it's so bad, or why this character is trash, or whatever, whatever. They're just role playing. They're just looking for a reason to spread negativity online, and as soon as they're done complaining about one thing that you're seeing, you're going to see them complaining about this thing right here. They're just going to go find something else to do the same thing to. And it's the same loop of them not actually engaging with the media that they're hating on, and then jumping to another popular piece of media just because they saw maybe one clip, or somebody that they know told them one thing about the show, and then suddenly they're the most knowledgeable person in the world, about that topic, and they have the right to make judgments like that, when they're just what is the term people use? Larpers, like people who just pretend that they know what they're talking about, and they act serious as if they are the most knowledgeable person on that topic. So I would not take any haters, comments at face value, or think that they have any actual grounds to talk about things, because most of the time when I look into them, dude, they're the most fake. They're just putting on a mask. What I mean by put on a mask is they put on a fake face to make it seem like they are credible in what they're saying, which is not the case most of the time. So don't even listen to them. You can honestly just go about your day. If it's a post that has something that you like, you can just like the post and leave. You can like the post, retweet it, repost it, whatever. You don't even have to engage with them. They're all fake anyway. Just don't even let them take up space in your brain. All right, moving on to point number 3. The third life lesson that I learned from haters, and I guess this is more of a perspective that comes from the inside, right? And before we get to point number 3, I'm just going to tell a little story because it's related to why I even made this video today. So this morning, I woke up, I did my workout, got in my caffeine, and I opened up my window, and the only thing I could hear outside was my neighbors, like, arguing, like full-blown argument in the parking lot, like yelling, like shouting is kind of crazy. The thing about my neighbors though is that they have a tendency to do that anyway, even when they're not in the parking lot. They live right below me, so I can hear them arguing through the floor like all the time. And for me, I'm like, bro, what are you guys doing? How can you not have figured this out about over the hundreds of times that you had an argument with each other? Why are we still doing this? I mean, for me, it's just annoying, right? Like, I don't hate them, but after you are exposed to something like that for so long, you start being like, what is wrong with these people? Like, I can't stand these people. Like, they need to move out, whatever, whatever. And it just builds up negative feelings. And you start to think things about them that, maybe it's just your emotions overwhelming you because you're tired of hearing the same old thing over and over, and it's disturbing your peace, which is fair. But the main point is you can hate on somebody for a lot of reasons, but it only takes one reason to be kind to somebody, and that reason is just the understanding that people are going through things that you have no clue about. People are going through things that you would have never even guessed. And the reason I say this is because when I was listening, not by choice, when I was listening to the argument they were having in the parking lot, is kind of like the first time I could clearly hear what they were arguing about, because when, through the floor, I can't really tell. I just know that they're yelling. But my window was open and I could hear them arguing in the parking lot. And the woman, this is a man and a woman, by the way, couple, she said something that just blew my mind. And I don't want to say it because I don't want to get too specific, but she was going through something that was actually just horrible. Like, she was actually going through, I would argue, one of the worst things that a person having a child could go through. You might be able to guess what that is, but it has to do with loss. Now, that's a very, heavy subject for sure. The loss of anybody, family member, but especially a child, and I didn't know this until today because I could hear them arguing before, but I didn't realize, the severity of the situation. And that applies to a lot of things, in life when it comes to your perception of other people or other people's perception of you, right? They have no idea what's going on with you, and you have no idea what's going on with them. And only in a few rare instances do you get the opportunity to, kind of see what's going on in the inner workings of somebody else's life. And it kind of changes your perspective when you find out that people are going through, very, very bad situations and you don't even know about. So this all ties back into me now realizing that this person is going through a very hard time. And it's not like I was super angry at them, like, it is annoying when you have people or just noisy neighbors in general, and that's basically the extent of my gripe with my neighbors, because sometimes they're noisy at times that are very inconvenient. But at the same time, after this morning, my entire perspective has changed because of the ways that situation was unfolding, and the negative feelings tend to come from a place of ignorance, just because nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows at any given time what's going on with anybody. So you can hate on somebody for a lot of reasons, but it only takes one reason to be kind, and that's just the understanding that we're all going through a tough time. I think that's about it for today. I had a few ideas on what I wanted today's video to be about, but I got inspiration this morning because of how all of that unfolded, so I decided to make it about this. If you made it this far into the video, thank you for watching. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you very much. If you liked anything you heard today, or if it was helpful or insightful to you, please subscribe. I'm going to be uploading videos every day, mostly talking about things like this, like just kind of like my inner thoughts and observations based on, I guess, my life experiences and observing just society in general. But that's going to be it for me. Again, thank you for watching. Please like and follow, and leave a comment if you want to have more of a conversation, or if there's any topics that you maybe want me to talk about. I'm more than happy to take recommendations, but other than that, that's going to be it. So as always, everybody have a good one.